Cool. Mayank, you want to start?
Hey, hi folks. So we have Sahil as our guest now today. He's one of our friends from VIT. So hey Sahil, I think let's begin. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey Nishant, hey Mayank. Great to be on this platform today. Really happy to share my experience, the journey so far. So my journey started with VIT University. I graduated in 2019, graduating in electrical and electronic engineering. Right from the college times, I was an electric vehicle enthusiast. I joined Team Ojas. So Team Ojas is into building Formula Electric racing cars. So we were a bunch of 30, 40 students and we were into building the electric racing car. We won a couple of national competitions. We also represented India in Formula Electric Italy in 2018. So that was my journey in college. Post that, I continued my journey in the electric vehicle segment by joining Ather Energy in Bangalore. So to the folks out there, Ather Energy is the first movers in the electric two-wheeler segment in India. I was there as a new product quality engineer. Worked there for a couple of years on different projects like charging infrastructure, DC-DC converter, and peripherals. So that was my 2 year at Ather. And post that, I decided to write CAT. I got a decent percentile of 99.42. I converted IIM Shillong, and currently I'm pursuing my MBA from IIM Shillong. So that's been my journey so far.
Yeah, I think.
That's great, man. I think
Thanks,
we
Sahil,
have
yeah.
now a lot of questions.
काफी अच्छा brief intro दे दिया तूने. So just for sake of the audience, I know Sahil since my 11th and 12th grade, and throughout our university as well. And we thought it would be best to bring Sahil on board because he would be able to provide insights into why he chose MBA and how was the experience at the electrical vehicle industry, because it's up and coming now. And how did he decide to change his mind, say from engineering to management while he was studying at VIT? So Sahil, I think let's begin with you sharing the experience of choosing electronics and electrical engineering during VIT. You said you had interest in that field since beginning. So how did you like begin your journey in VIT, and how was your journey in VIT with respect to the field?
और बस एक छोटा सा पॉइंट मेरे को लगता है कि यार बहुत सारे लोगों को पता नहीं चल पाता कि इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स चूज कैसे करें या इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग मतलब जब जैसे ही 12th खत्म हुई तो कौन सी फील्ड चूज करें मतलब मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल आर कंफ्यूज्ड देयर सो मतलब इफ यू कैन हाईलाइट सम ऑफ द पॉइंटर्स देयर इट वुड हेल्प
Correct. I think I might be not of a great help over here, but what my ideology was, I'll try to cover that. So like her engineer ki tarah, IIT JEE was the dream that we wanted to crack, which wasn't possible but yeah, finally we gave other entrance exams, and me and Nishant both converted VIT. He was from my school only, like he mentioned earlier. So I went with the ideology of elimination over here. So computer science karna hi nahi tha. Meko coding nahi pasand. I do not like coding at all. So that was one thing I eliminated. The second elimination was electronic and communication, because I thought that was remotely related to coding. So that was the second step elimination I did. Now I was confused between two core branches, mechanical and electrical. Did not want to go pursue civil and other branches out there. So the mainstream branches ही choose करने का मन था. So electrical and mechanical was the choice that I had. Now, on my way from Vadodara to Vellore, where we had to go for selecting the branch physically over there, unlike things that happen online right now. So what I was introspecting was whether the subjects in 11th interested me or the subjects in 12th interested me while I was studying. So upon weighing the pros and cons for both the things, I decided that, the subjects in 12th interested me a lot. And hence I decided to pursue electrical and electronic engineering from VIT Vellore. So that's how I came to decide what my graduation subject would be. But to the people who are in 11th and 12th, I think right now the core focus should be on cracking the exam, because after that you'll have sufficient time to make the decision which branch to choose. And I think a lot of folks out there who want to choose computer science engineering, they are firm right after they leave 10th, because they choose computer science as an optional subject in 11th and 12th. So yeah.
So I think that's also a way to eliminate computer science, as I had chosen it in 11th and 12th, and I did not like sitting at one place and coding. So that's also an option to eliminate if you want to go ahead with it or not.
Right.
So I think it's like this. You came to know about which field you wanted to get into. Now that you got into Triple E, the journey that you expected, was it the same once you landed in college, or at what point did it change that शायद ये नहीं है जो मैं समझ रहा था but कुछ और है और मेरा interest नहीं जा रहा है इस पे? Did that happen to you, or you like हाँ मजा आ रहा?
No, actually that did not happen. I was enjoying the subjects I was studying. So one thing I would mention here, which I think would be called boasting. So I was a nerd. Like हमको 11 12 से आदत थी कि पढ़ने की, you have to be theoretically very strong and get marks, because that was the entire focus that we had in 11th and 12th. And that continued in the first semester of the college. So the first semester when we gave Cat 1 and Cat 2, I was recognized as a student who got 50 in like 4 to 5 subjects out of the 7 subjects that we gave. We called it Cat 1.
So CAT is just like the cyclic test
unit
that we
test.
had it in the unit test
schools.
Before the STEM end, the test which used to take place out of 50 marks.
So each semester had 2 cats, Cat 1 and Cat 2, and a FAT, as far as I recall. So yeah, in the first or the second cat, I was the guy who got 50 in 4 to 5 subjects out of 660. So I think the majority of people who knew me was by this reference. Okay, there's the guy who's getting these many marks. So I think the subjects interested me. That is why I had an inclination towards going back and studying and probably scoring marks over here. So it's not that I regretted the decision of taking electrical and electronic engineering, if that's what you're trying to ask.
Yeah, that's pretty clear. Mayank, any thoughts?
No, it makes sense. Like when you like something, you just fall for it and like do it passionately. So
exactly.
It makes sense here. Like he liked the subjects and he made the right decision also. If you think right, elimination really helped him to choose the right thing.
Exactly. That's a good approach. And I think that's what led you to join Ojas as well. So when did you think of joining Ojas, and how did you get to know about Ojas, the electrical F1 racing team that you were a part of?
I think so. In every undergraduate's life, either in first semester or the second semester, we undergo. So there's a phase that comes. The term that I'm looking for is existential crisis. So VIT had a huge crowd. It's like 4K for the 2015 to 2019 batch, if I'm not wrong. You start to question that, what different are you doing from the rest, which will create the brand image that you're looking for. Your brand image, you should be associated with something, is what everyone looks for. I was at the same stage, and that's when the club committees, chapters, and other recruitments happen in the teams. That those recruitment phases come, and that's when everybody starts to explore, okay, where do they fit, and what do they want to do in the 3 years of the college that is remaining after the first year. So I started giving interviews, a few clubs and chapters. Unfortunately, I could not convert. I think 4 to 5 clubs I could not convert.
This is at which year? Just a question there. So like first year of your college or like second? Or
I was trying in my first year. I could not convert clubs in chapters. But in second year is again when I came back prepared. Okay, I knew what I was lacking. I just had the theoretical way of getting marks in a subject. I did not have a practical approach of solving or making stuff. So I went back, did a couple of projects, learned how these engineering concepts are put into the real world, and that helped. And in that phase, I realized that okay, I'll be looking for the teams like Pravega and Ojas, which are very famous in VIT, and I gave those. I gave the recruitment tests and when I did undergo the recruitment process, and then yes, Ojas finally happened. We had a team of 40 to 45 people that included both second years, third years, and first year. So that's how Ojas was. That's how I entered Ojas.
So I think it happened with me as well. When I was in college, the same crisis happened to me, like what different I'm doing in college. And then I remember like in first semester or like in the second semester of the first year, most of the people are just roaming here and there in each club and chapter after college, after our classes, like in the evening, right? Like there is a greenhouse where like each club and chapters like used to represent themselves, and like they want to attract first years, basically,
Right.
freshers. And
I
at that
don't know
time,
how
I
that.
also yeah, and they are doing the huge publicity coming into the classes and just representing themselves. So always I had a feeling like I don't have the required prerequisite knowledge or something like that to
just to add to Mayank's
just
inputs, I think first year he was not part of any club because like I don't want to get into all these things. I'll look at it at a later point in
I
time.
had that mindset. Yeah, I had that mindset as well. I don't want to be in this thing. I'll study like just what we did in 11th and 12th and focus on my studies. But then later I thought like it is pretty interesting, let's get into few of them. And then I had the same thing, मतलब नहीं crack कर पा रहे, and मतलब इतना preparation ही नहीं है कि जा पाएंगे. And I had I had the feeling कि मैं interview के लिए भी नहीं जा रहा हूँ, just by knowing कि मैं कर ही नहीं पाऊंगा. तो ये भी हुआ था.
No, but I think the only challenge is to go and face it. Once you face it, I think you will overcome it. So it happened with me. I got rejected in a lot of clubs and chapters in the first year, but yeah, the second year turned out to be good. And in the third semester itself, I was into Ojas. But yeah, again, you like Mayank was mentioning, the things that used to happen in greenhouse and stuff. It does take us back in time during our days in the college, and I'm just thinking that how are the current batches dealing with these, the kind of activities that used to happen when the clubs and committees used to come into the classroom to publicize and advertise. How are they doing it currently? I'm really curious about. So I think I'll get in touch with the current batch to know how things are running these days.
Yeah, how are they even working on building that car right now that everything is remote? Are they even does the team even exist? What are the members of the team doing? How are they meeting? How are they manufacturing the car?
Right. I think the competitions are put to a halt. These days the competitions are happening online. When I say online, I mean to say the static events are definitely happening, wherein you present your design ideas, you present the cost reports, you present the FMEA reports. These things are you present the business reports. So these things are happening online, and I think yeah, that's the latest update that I have on the subject.
Okay, so but how did the journey? So you said you joined the team Ojas, right?
Yeah.
And did you join any other clubs apart from Ojas while you're in VIT, or the main focus was the team Ojas?
I think our schedule, as far as I recall, our schedule was 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. And then the college used to happen in the morning hours. I did not have the bandwidth to get myself enrolled in other clubs, chapters, or other teams. What my day used to look like in Ojas, if that's what you're trying to ask, is we used to go. So the initial phase was the learning phase, wherein we were treated as an interns. We were given a bunch of tasks and activities that we had to complete before actually getting our hands dirty to build the car. So that lasted like about 6 to 8 months, where our seniors' cars were being built, and we were there to assist them, learn from it, and and have some side projects of our own that will allow us to be into a specific department in the team. So we had the.
But did you feel at that point like you were doing the small task, you came here just to like create big stuff, right? It happened like in people when they start their corporate life or something like that. It also happened at that time, like I joined this chapter, I joined this club to make a car, right? But you were given some small tasks to start
नहीं, it's like ये लोग क्या करवा रहे हैं, मैं क्या सपने देख
yeah,
रही थी और मैं क्या
कर रहा हूँ.
It did happen. So initial 1 or 2 months is very critical in you memorizing and understanding the rule book, how the car is built. If you're not very thorough with that, you'll end up making a car which will not pass the technical scrutiny in the actual competitions. So yeah, that was the phase where I thought, okay, we're just reading the rulebook, not realizing what its importance was. When we came to actually building our car and going for the competitions and saw how the judges scrutinize our cars, be it in the static events or for the dynamic events, we realized its importance. So at that point in time, correct, it was there was a phase wherein we realized, okay, what are we doing, coming every night and doing a certain small projects, but its importance is realized at a later stage. So that's how it is.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
But what happened after you joined Ojas? So I heard that you went for some competitions abroad as well, right? So why don't you speak about your journey? How was it? How did you feel going to a separate country for a specific competition through university? And yeah, you can just share your experience regarding that.
Right. So 2018 was the year wherein so 2017 was the period wherein our batch, I mean, my batch was building our own car, TOR 18, Team Ojas Racing, and 18 is what we named the car. So we participated in 3 competitions. 2 were the national competitions. One was Formula Bharat. The second one was Formula Green. Formula Green, we were ranked first in the overall event itself. There are sub events. So there is a static event and there are dynamic events. And under both the heads, there are multiple events that are there. I'll not go into detail.
Just for the sake of the audience, what is Formula Green about? What actually happens in it?
Right. Okay. So stage 1 is you give an online quiz. All the teams in the country give that quiz to qualify to enter the competition. So we qualified, we entered the competition. Now, before going to the competition, before actually going to Kari, if I remember, Kari Motorways in Coimbatore. The competition was in Coimbatore. I do not recall the name of the racetrack. But having said that, the first part is your technical scrutiny happens of the car. Is your car eligible to go down on the racetrack or not? That event comprised of disassembling and assembling the car in a certain duration. They have a thorough check on all the documentations that we have done as a team. Now these documentations were cost reports, the technical reports, the FMEAs, and the business reports. So this is a competition in itself. You need to pass it, but also you're ranked based on the kind of reports that you have submitted. So we were ranked, I think, first in all of these events. Once the judges approve that your car is fit to enter for the dynamic events, that's when our driver prepares himself and enters into the dynamic events. Now these dynamic events are not the race thing that you talk about where 2 or 3 cars will be parallelly racing to reach the end point. No, that's not the case. It's more like because this was Formula Student, 1 car at a time was allowed on the racing tracks out there. These were, let's say there was a braking event, there was an endurance test, and there was one more which I don't recall of. So there were 3 tests that we had to pass in order to qualify, in order to bag a ranking in the dynamic events section as well. So 3 teams out of the 14 teams could enter the dynamic events after their static event. And we were the first one to complete all these events in terms of whatever the criteria was. So yeah, that's how it was. Formula Green was there. It was in Coimbatore. Formula Bharat was also the same. Formula Bharat usually conducted events for combustion engines. So combustion cars out there used to participate in the Formula Bharat. Now Formula Bharat was, for the first time during our time, was coming up with the electric racing events. So it was not a static event, it was just a dynamic event that they had organized for the first year to see how the college or the institutions are coming up with the designs of the car that they have. There were 3 categories in that, and in 2 categories we were in the top 3, and 1 category we were ranked 4 out of the 18 or 19 odd teams who participated for the event. That's how it was. And yeah, these 2 events happened in the month of January and February respectively, and in 2018. And in June 2018 we went to Formula Electric Italy. We participated there. We got a good ranking in the static events. We were in the top 5, which was a big thing for us, for a team who's representing India in that event. However, due to certain unforeseen circumstances, we could not qualify for the dynamic events. So that's how it was. Those were the challenge. Those were really very challenging times, because in a month's time we had to come up with a plan to ship the car from India to Italy. And this thing was happening not through air but through a ship, because of the lithium-ion cells that we had. So these all minor things you learn when you're working in this project, and being in just a 3rd year, it was a big thing for us, learning these all aspects, not just from the technical perspective, but from the overall how as a team or how an organization works when it comes to. So the project for us was participating in that event, right? If we take it as a product launch, you see, how we started from building the car from scratch in India, and we reached Italy over there. So that's how the journey was, and it was fun. It was a lot of learning for us as a team. And
yeah, just imagine 18, 19, 20-year-olds going on a trip to Italy and getting their car along as well to Italy and making sure that everything is in place for the competition. I think that's a Herculean task, right? And kudos to you. Like, you did pretty well over there.
Like, what was your major role within your team?
Yeah, I was into two things. I was into the high voltage department, and I took care of the electrical documentation part. So the FMEAs, the cost reports, the technical design reports I talked about, it was done by me in the in my during my year. And in the high voltage department, I took care of the battery pack and the motor controller part. So whatever went wrong or whatever was the designing behind it was me along with one of my friends from one of my colleague in the team were in charge of that.
So basically, like, you were now finally doing what you signed up for, and like also learning the new thing along the way. Yeah, nice.
But how is so? For example, if I am in college and even if I'm thinking about a semester abroad, right? I might be skeptical, like, क्या मेरे से हो पाएगा? Can I go abroad and just manage on my own? But you were able to do so. Maybe not a semester abroad, but at least go for a competition, stay there for a couple of weeks, and then come back. So, how was the experience? What do you tell people who have some reservations on going abroad, and what did you learn from that experience, be it for a couple of weeks?
So that was my first thing, was convincing your parents, because it was self-funded. The college did not fund the trip, if I may call it. So if you're going to dad in the evening and asking, okay, I want to go to Italy for 15 days, I think the expenses will be close to 2.5 lakhs, which is a one semester fee. He'll start questioning, okay, are you really going for the competition, or is it for the fun sake that you are that you might be doing? So convincing them was the first task. The car would have gone irrespective of me going or not. So it was that the maximum number of members who built that car should go to the event to learn what feedback we get from the judges abroad. They're very strict. The judges out there are very strict compared to the competitions that are happening in India. So you actually get the ground picture of what is happening and what is not happening with the car that you have built. There were a lot of learnings. And I think we built the car which was closest to qualifying for the dynamic events. So minor changes would have led to the car qualifying for the dynamic events. So the learning was immense. The learning curve was very steep. Having said that, the event was for 4 to 5 days. We had to go 2 days before to assemble the car, which had reached Italy. So I think the event lasted for 7 to 8 days, because the last day was for packing and shipping the car back to India. So the 8 days were for that. And I think now, if you're going to Europe, you'll not miss out on visiting a few countries, given that you have a Schengen visa. So we did grab that opportunity and visited Switzerland, and yeah, that was how our 15 days was. So and that was my first trip to foreign. So yeah, it was fun in both ways, learning wise and as well as traveling to 2 different countries.
I mean, if you can afford the trip, definitely go for it, is what you would suggest to people who
because today, if I look back, I think this is a conversation starter or a conversation point for anything I want to talk about with any person, because this was an experience that will live with me for my entire life. And since the learning curve was so huge, I'll proudly be having this conversation with anybody I come across.
Yeah, definitely. That's good to know. But yeah, Mayank, anything from your end?
No, nothing. I'm just like, it's really great, right? How the things you'll start thinking about what I'm doing in this chapter, and then you land up in such places, like building such memories, right? That's what. Yeah.
But so you were too deep into electrical stuff. You had joined an electrical racing team as well. but then you appear for CAT in 2018, if I'm not wrong. So how did that shift happen from core electrical to giving a management entrance exam in India? What was the thought process behind that?
Okay, that's interesting. And I think I shared this journey with you, Nishant, when we were preparing for it together. But okay, how this happened again? I think the audience will laugh to it, but it was elimination. You have 4 to 5 options. You have 4 to 5 options that you want to give if you wanting to pursue higher studies. GRE, GMAT. If you want to build your career in the technical side, you'll give GRE. If you want to build your career in the management side abroad, you'll give GMAT. Similarly, for India, it was CAT and GATE. So these were the 4 options that were out there. Now the option of studying.
I'll ask a question there. These is for higher studies, right? Correct. You are doing the practical stuff. You are learning as well as implementing things. Correct. So, like, why didn't you thought of like just implementing it and joining some industry? Yeah. Job. Like
I'll come to that.
Yeah. So, sure.
So these are the 4 options that I had, and I eliminated GRE GMAT because my parents were not in favor of me going to abroad and studying, and I think I come from a background where higher studies is not pursued by a lot of people in my family. So I think I had to make my choice of not going outside because it was seen as something very different, and people and the perception was that you might not end up doing great if you go to abroad because you'll not be under provision of your parents or in the same country. Okay, so at that point in time, I eliminated these 2 options. Now CAT and GATE were the 2 options that I had. Coming to the part that why CAT out of the CAT and GATE, it was again the introspection of whether I want 15 to 20 years. Now that's when you have matured because 3 years you've been working, you've come across a lot of people and you share multiple thoughts when you're talking to a huge crowd in VIT. 15 to 20 years down the line, do I really want to be a part of recognized as a guy who's into just solving technical problems or building stuff from the engineering perspective? Or do I want to expand my horizon by associating myself with a person who knows not just technical things from the background that he's coming from, but also as a person who knows about the management side of the business? So that's when I decided, okay, if I have to do higher studies this year, next year, or the year after, I'll go for CAT, which is an MBA from pursuing an MBA from India. That was an ultimate goal that I had in mind. Now, I remember me and Nishant preparing for CAT rigorously in 2018. And Nishant got placed, I think, in the first month of the recruiting season that happens at VIT. So he was there with a motivation. He was there with me thinking that, okay, because I was not placed at that point in time, so I'll be sincerely studying for CAT because that's the only option that I had with me. And I was not sitting for a lot of jobs. I think 2 or 3 job interviews is maximum that I appeared for. So we were preparing rigorously for CAT. Now in October 2018, Ather Energy came to VIT for the first time. And I knew Ather Energy because I was associated in that industry right from the beginning. And Formula Bharat's judge were Ather Energy. That is why I recognized Ather Energy and the brand that it carried and the kind of role that it was coming for. I decided to appear for that exam. I qualified. The 2 rounds that I had was entirely based on the experiences that I had in the team. It was nothing technical. It was just the stuff that I had built, which I had actually worked on. So which helped me crack the interview and I got the job offer. The package was decent, so I accepted the job. This happened in October, the first week of October. Me and Nishant, we were of the phase that we'll not give up on the CAT prep. And 9th or 10th October, we both came and we both gave a mock in my room. I remember scoring 60 or 65%, and Nishant scoring somewhere close to 70, 75. That's when we decided, okay, let's forget about CAT. Okay, we'll see what happens. We'll go for the job because we both had a job in the segment that we wanted to go. Nishant with Schneider and myself with Ather. Then we went to, so we did not prep. After that, we were just enjoying a college life. Like everyone else, trying to pass the last exams that we had because our credits should have been completed by the time that semester ended. And yeah, and I remember both of us going to Chennai to give the exam without any preparation for the past 2 months. I think we ended up scoring upwards of 95, both of us. And yeah, that's how it was. But we couldn't, we decided not to pursue MBA that year, maybe a year after or after. So it's just that
just going for the more percentile or what? Like 95 is good, right? So what was your
I think we were
thoughts that
targeting
time?
the best colleges in India, and we needed at least 99.
If 95, like why not 99, right? It's not too hard.
Yeah, so we were like,
both of
maybe
us were
this is not the
97.
potential.
Vishal, correct me if I'm wrong. I think both of us were 97 plus, if I'm not, if I recall it right. Yeah.
96, 97, yeah.
That's how it was.
Nice.
So that gave us a real picture of, okay, how much you should score to in order to get the top B schools out there. Again, that's a different story, which I think we'll cover in the later part when I decide upon speaking about the entering IIM Shillong. So, so that's how it was.
No, that is clear. That is clear. So now that is how you decided to go for management. And after you got a job in Ather Energy, you thought let's work for a couple of years and then look at management again. So you start working in Ather Energy now. And how was the working over there? How was it different from what you did in Ojas on like in VIT, right? So how was it different from that? And how did you enjoy the work in Ather?
How was it different? The work was entirely the same. The only difference was I was getting paid this time. So
that's the best part.
That's the best part. So the work was same. We were into building stuff. I remember my first project was building a DC-DC converter. We brought it to a good stage, and that's how the journey started. Worked on different projects like charging infrastructure and also building peripherals of the vehicle. And I decided to do MBA 2 years after. The reason for that was I had a 2-year bond with Ather, so could not. So if you were to ask why not the next year and why the year after, that's the main reason behind staying in the job for 2 years and then pursuing MBA. And now that I think back, I think that was a wise decision of gaining a 24-month work ex before joining a B school, because its importance is realized right now of why 24 months was very critical to me. Having said that, the projects were awesome, but towards the end, that means the May or June of 2020, the organization was going through a lot of restructuring. There were a lot of change in plans. Things were happening online, and Ather Energy being a hardware company and OEM, doing things online was a challenging task in itself. So, and I was here at home. I was not in Bangalore. So visiting the Ather facilities, be it the factory or the office or the testing center, was practically not feasible for me. So that is a point where I accelerated my CAT prep to get the percentile that I got in November. And yeah, that was the duration wherein I just skyrocketed my the number of hours that I gave in terms of the preparing for CAT.
Do you want to reflect back, like exactly like how you started preparing for CAT? Like you gave the mock, right? You didn't score well there, 65%, which might have loosened your hope, like with respect to CAT, and then going for a CAT exam without preparing, scoring 97%, that might have boosted your hopes again for the CAT. Like the journey overall, like for preparing CAT exam, because I saw like many candidates repeatedly giving CAT and might be making some mistakes there. Like your thought process overall for CAT preparation and the tips that you wanted to give.
All right, I'll share my tips for the last year of the preparation already. That is for the CAT 2020. How my strategy was, what led me to deciding that strategy, and what were the final results based out of it. So the first year that I was preparing, I think I covered all the topics that were there in all the 3 subjects: the quantitative ability, the LR and DI, and the verbal ability. So I covered most of the topics over there, and I was very thorough with the conceptual part of it. I never learned to take a shortcut in the quant section. It was only I would solve that problem step by step. Whether it takes 2 minutes or 3 minutes, I'll not give up on that, because that's what my core strategy was. A lot of institutions and other people follow shortcuts which works out for them. It did not for me. So that's what that approach I took for all the three parts. I'll not take shortcuts. I'll go methodologically in each and every section that is out there. Having said that, the first few months, I brushed up all the concepts that I had read 2 years back. I had a short notes with me, which helped me accelerate the revision time that I would have spent it if I did not have that notes with me.
So did you guys did some coaching anywhere for this CAT preparation or something, or is it really needed? What were your thoughts there?
In the college, it was needed. Nishant, please correct me if you were on the same page as me. I think in the college it was needed because there we did not have. We are at a stage wherein we need direction of what subjects, what topics to cover, how much to go in depth of that topic. So that guidance we did get it in the beginning only in 2018. So we joined Time, which had a tie-up with the university in college, with the university, and we got the material from them. We solved those material, and we were clear with now what we have to do. Nishant, your views on the same, that why joining?
No, I think that's correct, because it was the first time we didn't want to mess it up. And when you're desperate to crack any examination, you will go for the coaching because you think that will help you, right? But I think some of my friends didn't even go for the coaching, and they were confident that they'll be able to crack it just on the basis of the material that they had, and maybe advice from a person who's already cracked CAT. So it depends on your mindset. If you think that in the mocks you're not able to improve your score time and again, you might want some expert coaching on how to go about it. But if you think that no, I can manage it on my own because in the mocks I'm scoring well as well, so I don't really need coaching. So it depends on where you are standing before the examination, and accordingly going with what suits best for you. There's no one fit.
In 2020, I think he hasn't joined back again. He just reflected on those courses or chapters and did a revision and started his mocks and everything.
So as you have already given CAT once before, right? So that's why Sahil had this mindset that I knew what I did wrong over there. Now I know how to improve it this time. So I might not really need coaching as per se. And I think he already had those material as well for CAT. So that's what he.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah, Time provides you two sets of books. One is the basic books that you have to solve, and one is the advanced level books. Now, because in 2018 I had thoroughly completed the basic level books, gave all the worksheets that I used to give to solve at home. I'd done that. So after revising for a month, let's say I started at around April 2020, is when I started the prep. So after a month, when I had covered all the topics from my end, revised everything, I did not start from the basic part because that I had already done it and I was clear with it. If I was not clear, I took that topics from that book. But if I was very clear with those topics, I directly jumped to solving the advanced level books, because that will improvise my thinking skills in terms of the questions that I solve. If you're solving a higher order thinking skill questions, which is of a higher level than what CAT actually gives, you'll automatically be thorough with the kind of questions that you'll solve, which are given during the CAT day. And the other strategy that I relied upon was solving mocks every week. I think me and Nishant were close to 2 to 3 mocks per week is what we targeted right from May, and that consistency is what you have to maintain till the end. If you want to crack that exam with a very good, very high percentile. And
so for a year you did 2 to 3 mocks each week, till the exam date, right?
Yeah, starting April, mid or May first week till November, it was close to 2 to 3 mocks per week. That too, that too even after this thing. Just the full CATs, not the sectional tests or the intermediate or the basic level test that we give for any subject that Time or the IMS portal gives you. So apart from that, it was 2 to 3 mocks per week. Yeah.
All right. What were your thoughts? I know, with your personal decisions, beforehand, you chosen to not to go and appear for GMAT and do the MBA in foreign, right? But do you have certain thoughts? You might have researched, right? Do you find is there any difference doing MBA abroad and MBA in India? Any thoughts there? Like, is it somewhere different? Because I saw, right, I'm an engineer by heart. Like, I don't know much about MBA, so I just wanted to know, like, I thought like some 5 years of experience is required for doing an MBA abroad, right? So why is it so, or something like that? If you want to give your
Yeah,
thoughts.
I think this will be me criticizing the Indian education system for the first part, but okay, I'll try to get back on the holistic view of my opinion on the MBA in India and MBA abroad. Now, MBA in India, if you are giving a CAT, it does not have a selecting criteria. It has a rejecting criteria for you to enter a B school. Uh, I remember me getting 99.42 percentile. However, my verbal score was 78. I could not clear the cutoff of majority of the B schools because of the verbal section out there. But the B schools whose criteria I fulfilled, let's say they had 75 cutoff or 70 cutoff, and Ahmedabad, Shillong, Kozhikode have those cutoffs. No, I did not get calls from all the colleges. So again, the major reason behind there was being a general engineer male, which puts you in the least preferred candidate for a B school out there. That's the stage that I was in when I was receiving calls from different B schools. Now, B schools in India accept candidates from all the categories, whether they are a fresher, whether they are a 1 year experience, or whether they are a 5 year experiences. A fresher does not have, and I was even a fresher, I did not have clarity on what subject I want to choose, which field I want to specialize in, what really interests me. That is why a majority of the IIMs, I mean, all the IIMs provide you degree with postgraduate program in general management. You'll not be associated to as a marketing guy or as a finance guy in the college. If your work experience after the college is that, so you'll be associated with with that tag. B schools abroad, however, they do have a criteria of coming with the higher the number of experience, higher the number of years of experience, the higher is your chances of getting into the top B school that you aspire to be in. So because you've spent 5 years in the industry, right, you have the clarity of what you want to do, what are the recent industry trends, what is the industry looking for, and that bridge you are already aware of because you've worked there for 5 years. So the next stage is, okay, get a professional degree, an MBA from outside, get all the help from the professors who are out there. Not that the professors in India will not help you to bridge that gap, but you'll not have an experience to identify that gap in the first place itself, right? So that's a major difference between pursuing an MBA from in the criteria for pursuing an MBA from India and the criteria for pursuing an MBA from abroad. However, recently I think in Europe there are colleges that are offering masters in management. I mean, for people who are under 2 years of experience. So if you have done a thorough research behind all these options that you have, the criteria under which you fall, I think you'll get the best B schools out there, and you just need to prepare for the exams and crack the interviews, and yeah, the rest will be the journey ahead.
Got it. So basically, I'll just sum up, like there are three courses, basically MIM abroad, MS abroad, oh sorry, MBA abroad, and then MBA in India.
Correct.
Basically, you just need to think where you want to fall in, and like just do some research work there, and then decide and go for it.
Correct.
So I think like after CAT, scoring this much percentile and like getting selected by some or getting calls like from some of the IIMs, you guys also have to go for the interview process, right?
Right.
So what was the process there? Do you want to give any feedbacks to such to current candidates who are preparing, and give your key takeaways basically?
Sure. I'll be happy to help them in any possible way. So I had calls from all the colleges. So there are 20 IIMs out there. I had calls from all the IIMs after Shillong. So Shillong is the 7th IIM in the country. I had calls from IIT Kharagpur, IIT Delhi, and NMIMS. These were my calls that I had for the percentile that I achieved. Given that I had 78 in verbal, and SPGM. So I was so when the mark sheet was released, I was sure that I'll get a good percentile. I was falling into a good category. So I started my preparation right in December mid, or like the January first week. I started my preparation. Now, how I bucketed my preparation was into 4 to 5 categories, which I'll just mention. One is the academic background that you're coming from. So that is really important, because interviews are professors who judge you on that. They want people who are inclined towards academics, and they'll judge you of how thorough your concept was when you were in the college in that respective domain. It can be commerce, it can be arts, it can be science, it can be engineering, whatever it is. They'll judge you on that. I think the entire interview will not lie upon that, but that part will be the one of the parts of the interview. The second one was, you should be very well versed with the anything you have mentioned about yourself. If you're coming with an experience, you should have a thorough knowledge about the industry that you've worked in, the projects that you're working with on, and if you're a fresher, whatever things you're mentioning about in the CV about yourself that you've done in college, you should be very thorough about it. So the background work should be very thorough of whatever you have done, which is special to you. You can be an IT guy, you can be an electrical engineer, you can be any engineer out there, or any person. But if you're coming from an experience, you should be very thorough about the company, the industry out there. So that was the second part. The third one was brushing up yourself with all the current happenings that is current affairs, basically. So not just by facts, but also your view and your ideology behind what is happening. Let's say the budget recently concluded, right, on 2nd or 3rd of Feb. Now, definitely the facts were presented, but what is your ideology behind those facts that were presented that you are curious about and you want to discuss with the person? So interviewers would want to know that. Your take on
but is it really for, like, if I'll appear for marketing, like I don't want to do marketing, like MBA in marketing, then do I really have to answer these questions or prepare for, like, if I don't want to do an MBA in finance, because I think like it's more for a finance guy or something? What was your thought?
Got it. So I told you, right? In India, we are given the like PGP in general management. So you are more of a generalist over here. You should be well versed with whatever is happening or whatever you are a part of, right? So they test you. See, again, they'll test you about whether, they'll not ask you, मुझे ये figure दो कि 53,000 crore का था. They'll not be interested in that figure that you give them. क्योंकि ये बिल पास हुआ, पूरा जो स्टेटमेंट है, ये बिल प्रपोज किया गया, यहाँ पास हुआ, whatever that is. Your thoughts and views, and then कि उससे impact क्या होगा. And कहीं ना कहीं everything is related to economy, and if you just extrapolate it, कहीं ना कहीं आपकी पढ़ाई से वो related होता ही है.
Got it, makes sense.
Yeah. So they'll check it thoroughly on whatever facts or ideas you present to them. That was the third part. And the fourth part that I categorized was the HR questions. Okay, why MBA? Why this college? Tell me about yourself. So I remember spending close to 4 to 5 days to build the story that I have. The storytelling part is really important. I think a lot of folks out there prefer star approach to have any conversation with an interviewer. Now this approach helps you organize your thoughts and convey the message or your story to the interviewer. So that is a very critical part of the interview, because in all my interviews, I think I gave close to 8 to 9 interviews. In all my interviews, the entire interview was built upon the introduction that I gave. So it is very important for you to build that introduction or the story behind yourself.
What is this star approach, by the way?
About the star approach. Yeah. I was just getting that. What was the star approach I'm talking about, so that people get to know about it?
Just 1 second.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some full form to it.
There's a full form to it. Situation, task, approach, and results. So what was the situation that was there? What was the task that you had in hand? What was the approach that you took? And what was the result of the approach that you have done, implemented? So if you build a story based on this approach, right? Or you answer based on this framework, it helps you. It's not that you have to strictly follow this. Sometimes situation will be eliminated, sometimes task will be eliminated. But this way you will have a clarity of conveying a message that you want to actually convey to an interviewer with the clarity in your head first. And then if you have clarity in your head, that is when you'll be able to probably convey the message in a better way to a third person. So yeah, that's what my 4 baskets of preparation was, and mocks again. The 5th one was again just like the mocks that you gave for CAT. I gave a lot of mocks for the interviews as well. You can reach out to n number of people on LinkedIn, on Telegram. There are a lot of people out there who might help you, who will help you, and yeah, that will help you check your progress and give you, and be open to taking feedbacks. If a person is saying something, be open to taking and accommodating that feedback. It's not that the person will be right, but he's giving you a third person perspective. Don't eliminate it in the first place. Take it or not, but at least give a thought about what he's trying to say. Just don't be egoistic that, okay, how can he say this about me? If the other person
this is really a good practice, I would say, like in general, like even if it is coming from your junior or a senior, right, we should just think about it in our head once we eliminate it at the first point. So yeah, in every journey, like it helps usually to take the feedbacks and just improve on those. A very good point, by the way.
Right. Yeah. And man, to answer your question that
yeah.
कि मेरे को MBA finance में करना है, तो मैंने current affairs के बारे में क्यों जानूं? So again, that current affairs part will be a 1 or 2 question that interview will ask to gauge about your awareness about things happening around you, right? Yes, the majority of the part will be around the finance. If you have a CFA degree, if you're a CA, if you're a CS, the majority of the interview will be around that part. But he or she, the professor, will try to gauge how aware you are about the current happenings. So knowing about everything will help you, definitely. It will not put you in a backseat.
Got it. Yeah, makes sense. So now coming to the IIM Shillong, right, finally. So doing an electrical degree, joining Ojas, then working in Ather, and then shifting to this management process, right? Appearing for CAT and just like getting into IIM, like where you want to be finally. So how does that shift suits you? Like in your first year of college, like how did you feel about it? Like doing 4 years of degree in electrical, and you were like totally into it, right? You were really enjoying that. So did you enjoy those management courses just at the same feelings you had for the
so it's been like what, 8
engineering?
months now for you, about 6 to 8 months in IIM Shillong. So you would have taken a few of the courses, you would have given tests in IIM Shillong as well. So yeah, I think the basic question is, are you enjoying what you're doing right now in terms of management, or did you think that maybe I want to go back to electrical once my management is over, but maybe in a position in a managerial position?
No, I'm currently enjoying what I'm doing at its best. So yes, I'll go step by step. So after my interviews were over, right, April 1st week to my joining was, so Shillong's academic year started in August 2021, right? So I had time from April to August 2021. Now, the results came in May. So April, I was sure that I'll be entering a B school for sure, be it Shillong or any other college. I had to go to a college. That's when I started pursuing extra courses to accustom myself that, okay, what is it I'm actually looking for or what I'll be facing when I enter a B school, because this will be an entirely new thing for me. I started exploring courses like CFA, Lean Six Sigma. These are the courses that are out there, which will help you gauge the subjects that will come along your way, right? So I started preparing for it, and that's when I understood, okay, these are the subjects that actually interest me. It's not that I'll regret choosing the field that I'm venturing myself into. And so August is when it started, and I had to clarify or undergo a lot of conversation with our seniors, with folks through LinkedIn and other stuff, to understand which field I actually want to specialize in. Was it finance? Was it marketing? Was it consulting? Was it operations, etc., etc.? So I went on speaking with a lot of people to understand where my interest lies, what all offerings are there in different departments or the fields that I'm getting into. And this helped me understand, okay, this is the place that I want to be in, X or Y place. And for this, I'll have to be clear on these all subjects in order to be or specialize in that domain. Now, the second task here was to have clarity or like have clarity whether those subjects interest me or they are easy to comprehend or difficult to comprehend. But once you sit back and, right from the beginning, I have been academically inclined person. So it was not very challenging task for me to accustom myself to the entirely new subjects that I was getting into. So it was not that big a task, but it was interesting in the beginning, and so far the journey has been interesting. And I think I will not regret taking this decision. And I see myself working on the business side of things, not specifically the technical part that Nishanti mentioned, right? I would not want to go back, work on the technical aspects, but I would want to work on things that from the business side of the picture.
Pretty clear. So I think that mindset maybe led you to explore consulting, right? I'm seeing a lot of people planning to pursue consulting or VC or investment banking these days. So how did you come to know about consulting, and how did you prepare for your internship that took place? Maybe we'll get to you got placed in an internship at a later point in time, but what made you look for consulting as a career, or what interested you in consulting?
Okay. So I'll have to go back in time. My job at Ather, the core job at Ather was identifying, solving issues that the customers were facing, the technical teams were facing, or the testing teams were facing. So here the problem solving was from the technical perspective of the product that Ather was building, right? When I talk to the industry experts, when I reach out to our alumni base or students from other colleges, I realized, okay, the core part of consulting is you have to solve a problem that the client gives you. The problem here will be a business problem. Let's say a problem that, okay, the company XYZ is not making the profits that it used to make an year ago. That's a broader statement that will be given, and you'll have to work on figuring it out why, how, and what things can be done to get back on the track, right? So these kind of problem statements, once you receive, your mind just starts sticking as to thinking about what could have led to its profits declining, what would have led to, what can we do to get it back into the shape that it was before, right? So these things really interested me when I started questioning myself about, okay, if this is the core part of consulting, this does it interest me or not? I started reading cases, I started solving cases. Now those things one thing led to the other, and I think that is how I landed up getting myself interested in the consulting domain. Yes, there are other domains like VCs, IB, branding, which are very interesting, and people should look forward to that. But this was a personal choice that I took, and fortunately, I got my internship at Deloitte USI Consulting from the college. And yeah, I'll be working in the same department for the summers in April and May, and let's see how it turns out.
Yeah, so I think what you did was you tried to understand the field first and not really go with the trend or the fad that's happening around consulting. Just because people are saying, oh, consulting बहुत बढ़िया, चलो consulting का job लेते हैं या फिर cases solve करते हैं. It's something that interested you, and you had fun solving cases, and you associate yourself with the field even going forward. And that's how you landed an internship at Deloitte. I think that we'll come to that question now. So
I think Nishant,
man.
I really liked about Sahil is कि यार इसने ना हर stage पर he did a research at each stage and didn't fall into blindly कि यार ये सब लोग ये कर रहे हैं चलो यही कर लेते हैं, this is the path that he want to go in. He did his research at each stage, like whether it's an MBA in which field, MBA abroad or MBA India, or like which colleges are good, and then joining which company, joining which team. And so at each stage I think like he did a research first and then he got into things. So I think that made a difference. Like most of the people nowadays like just go like यार 10 बच्चे CS के ये कर रहे हैं तो यही सही होगा ना, यही कर लेते हैं, हम भी कर लेते हैं, and हम भी कुछ ना कुछ तो कर ही लेंगे इससे, just like I'll not just name it like many people do that. So
yeah, that's very true. I think he had clarity on what he wanted to pursue. So वो काफी
exactly
बड़ा factor था.
And he made those shifts, right? Going to Italy, representing India, making the car and all. Look, it's really good. I liked.
Yeah, I think kudos to you on the clarity side. I hope we have clarity in life as well as you have clarity regarding your career choices. But so you started preparing for interning at Deloitte USI, and just to give a reference, it's not easy to get into Deloitte. Even in a B school, I think there are hardly 5 or 6 or 7 people who get into who get an internship at Deloitte, right? So what was your process of preparing for the internship interviews that took place on your campus?
And this is Deloitte, which role? I just wanted to confirm, like,
For the consulting
which role?
This is a
Full
consultant
role at Deloitte. But
okay, it started. So I approached a few seniors from the college right when I entered the college, right? And I tried to understand, okay, if I now that I have clarity on I want to go into consulting, I tried understanding which when are the consulting companies. I mean, at what point in time the consulting companies visit campus to gauge when should I start preparing for those interviews. So okay, I have a 2-month lead when this company will come to the campus, and I'll have to sit for an interview if given an opportunity. So now the next question was, how do I utilize those 2 months in order to me cracking the interview if I'm shortlisted for that company? Those 2 months, the preparation started for any consult. So I'll when I tell you about my preparation, I'll be very specific to consulting interviews, right? I started my preparation with guesstimates. Firstly, I thought I knew guesstimates because BTech college maybe jab we were sitting for the interviews, I had solved 1 or 2 guesstimates. The number was nowhere close, but the approach was good. So I thought I knew it. But
when is it? I don't know.
So yeah, what happens in guesstimates maybe just to
okay, so what guesstimates are? Let's say if I go and ask you कि आज की डेट में इंडिया में कितने cars हैं, and you have to come up with a number. I'll expect you to come up with a number. That's a one-liner question that I'm given. That is all. And just say the second part can be, okay, how many McDonald's burgers are sold in a McD outlet near your place? So it's a random thing. You just have to think about the question. Here the number actually doesn't matter. The final number that you're coming, it doesn't matter. The approach about you thinking to arrive to that number matters a lot. So with the help of few seniors in the college, I ended up learning and practicing. And this comes with practice. There's no let's say step 1, step 2, step 3 that you have to do in order for you to reach to a number. There's no specific algorithm that you have to follow. It comes intuitively, and yeah, it comes with practice. So I started practicing with seniors, and then started practicing with my batchmates. That gave me a good hold on the guesstimate part, which is always the round 1 of any consulting interview that you sit. Ideally, it can be just one part of the entire interview, or it can be the first round itself, right? Then usually you are in the second part of the interviews, second round of interviews, you are presented with a case. The case can be very abstract as to, okay, XYZ company wants to launch ABC product in MNO market. So it can be as big as this, or it can be very specific. Okay, let's say Ather Energy wants to what problems can Ather Energy face when Ather Energy is planning to expand in Gujarat? It can be that specific, or it can be that way. So you have to practice a lot of cases. I can give you an example of few cases like market entry, profitability, new product launch, mergers and acquisitions. So these are the category of cases that you practice in order for you to be very thorough with any case that you presented in an interview. So you practice a number of cases with your peers, with your partners, with your study groups in the college, with your seniors. They help you they'll be there to take your interview and give you feedback at the end. And again, that feedback is very critical for you to analyze your performance. So that's how the preparation was, and that's how usually the rounds for a consulting companies are. Ideally, there are 3 to 4 rounds of interviews that happen.
Perfect. So I think there was thorough preparation for the interviews for internship as well.
Correct.
And this is right after say 3 or 4 months of getting into the IIM Shillong in the first year itself.
1 month.
Right. 1 month of getting into IIM Shillong is when you start with the interview preparation.
Correct.
So that's pretty hectic. And finally landed an internship at Deloitte USI, and you will be interning in April, May.
I think I got my offer letter yesterday. So it's starting 4th of April, and it's an 8-week long internship.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So your journey from Team Ojas till Deloitte USI has been pretty interesting, I would say, and it covers so many areas. And the clarity that you had while going through each of those areas was commendable. So Sahil, any final conclusions or takeaways, or maybe tips for students who might be preparing for the interviews right now, say specific to CAT, or people in college who are wondering, what should I do next? Should I go for higher studies or should I go for a job? So any final comments from your end on these two aspects?
Okay, so if I have to give a common answer for both of them, it will be talk to people, talk to a lot of people. You have not matured in an industry, you've not been there in the industry for a long time, and you're venturing into something new. Now, if you're venturing into something new, the more guidance you get, the more perspective you get, the better it is. Let's say if I pick an example of a B school interview, let's say a person gets shortlisted for IIM Shillong interviews. He or she can make an effort to reach out to the students or the professor at Shillong to understand, okay, why Shillong, why should they be choosing Shillong if they are selected? What differentiates Shillong from the rest? What are the courses that are offered at Shillong? The special courses, the common courses are across, the same across all the B schools out there, right? What differentiates Shillong from the rest? So understanding that will only happen when you talk to people, when you make an effort to reach out to people and find your ways to reach out to them. A person's number is not available online on the net, right? So you cannot just type a name and you'll get a number. It's that you'll have to figure out ways to reach out to that person, right? And if you're making a choice of making any other choice where you do not have an expertise, it is always advisable to talk to people to understand what you're getting yourself into. So that will really help to all the categories that you mentioned right now, from my perspective.
Good. Yeah, so it's like network, and I think that would really help you gain more perspective and more clarity on what you want to proceed. Like, I think which path you want to take further. Yeah, Mayank.
And sometimes sharing the problem definitely brings clarity. You might be struggling on your own to figure out everything, right? It's never going to happen that way. Like, you will make conclusions and you will come up to the right decisions every time. So it's better to share. It's fine, to be vulnerable and just share things, get insights from others who have been there, and just discuss it.
And it's completely
2
okay.
cents on this. Yeah,
it's completely okay to share your problems. Sometimes you pen down your problems, sometimes you speak it out in front of others, sometimes you speak it out to yourself, so you get more clarity on actually what are you looking forward to. So
exactly,
it helps.
Definitely.
Nice. I think it's been a pretty amazing podcast so far, and I think we can go ahead and conclude now.